Hi guys, it's me ChazzaHD and welcome to this stream today where we're going to be going through some of the car reveals that have happened in the last, 10 days or so from half the teams on the grid. Great to see you guys here as always, and hopefully you're having a good 12th of February. As you can see on the top left of the screen, we're only 11 days away from pre-season testing beginning. It is amazing how quickly, well, at least for me, the winter break is gone and just how soon the season will be starting. But yeah, we've obviously got a few more teams to reveal their cars next week. I'll get into that and who's going to be revealing on what day towards probably the back end of this stream. But yeah, great to see you guys here. Hopefully you're all doing well no matter what time it is in your part of the world or where you're from. I hope you're all having as best a day as possible. And yeah, what we're going to be getting into in this stream is we're going to be looking at all of the car reveals so far, and I will also talk about some news or just stuff that came out of the launch events themselves, associating certain car launches that took place in the last few days or so. Obviously, the teams we're going to be looking at are Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Haas, Alpha Tauri, and Williams. Alpha Tauri revealed their car at, what was it, about 10:30 p.m. UK time last night. And obviously they revealed their car in New York, so it was, I think, 5:30 p.m. in New York City. But yeah, we'll be getting into those car reveals and a couple bits of the news surrounding those as well. And also, I'll also give comment as to how I think the car liveries look. A couple teams have changed their livery, as you can see on your screen here with the Haas car. I think really the Haas livery has more so been changed for weight issues, I think, more so than just trying to go for a different livery there. But yeah, make sure in the comments in the live chat as well, whilst I am going through the car reveals themselves, let me know what you think of the liveries, what do you think of the cars, let me know what you think of the certain bits of news I'll be getting into as well as we go through each team. And I'll try, and once I get through all the teams, come to your comments in the live chat. But I think we'll just get straight into it, and we will start with Red Bull Racing, who revealed their car on the 2nd of February, I think it was. Was it the 2nd of February or the 3rd of February? I can't remember exactly. It was last week. They revealed their car in New York City, the RB19, the car they hope that is going to obliterate everyone in 2023, just like it did in 2022. Now, this car they showed, it is just a show car. It is not the actual RB19, but the livery on it is the livery that they're going to be having for this year. The livery is basically the same. They did, though, do a test run at Silverstone with this car with Max Verstappen. I think, how many days ago was it? 2 days, 3 days ago, something like that. Also, Haas F1, as I'll get into later and I'll show on screen, they did a test run at Silverstone, I think, yesterday afternoon. So, yeah, Red Bull have, they've given it a run. The real car has actually been on track, but this one that was shown in New York, yeah, was just a show car in actual fact. And like I said, the livery looks pretty much exactly the same. But coming with this event, there was some big news announced as well from Red Bull, but also another company that they will be Red Bull partnering up with for the 2026 Formula One season and beyond, and that is the Ford Motor Company. Yes, Red Bull and Ford coming together, and Ford will be supplying, obviously, the power units for Red Bull from 2026 onwards. And let's get into quickly what Christian Horner had to say about this after the car reveal took place in New York last week. He said, it's a very different relationship to what was discussed with Porsche. This is a purely commercial and technical deal, so there's no exchange of any shares or participation within the business. It's a very straightforward agreement where we will have the ability to share access to research and development, particularly on the electric vehicle side, and sell technology. I don't know why the T there is in big caps for some reason. I have no idea why that is. And then goes on to say, yeah, cell technology, software development, and so on. And then on the commercial side, obviously with Ford being so prevalent in the US as a commercial partner, it enables us to achieve even more penetration in that market. And that is a big reason we have to say. It is a big reason why Ford is coming back into Formula One, because Formula One is getting quite popular in America, and it's definitely helped pull, whether it's, car manufacturers or, racing teams like Andretti, it's helped pull them, at least closer to entering Formula One. Of course, Ford are announced they're going to be coming in. Andretti, we hope, will be coming into Formula One in the next, 3-4 years at the absolute most. I really hope Andretti can get onto the grid. So yeah, that's, a big reason why Ford is coming into Formula One. And, of course, with Formula One in 2026 becoming a lot more, with the power unit technology, it's going to be going a lot more towards the electric side. That has definitely helped bring in, more manufacturers. Obviously, Audi are coming into to Formula One for 2026, and they'll be taking over the what is currently the Alfa Romeo team and what will be the Sauber F1 team in 2024 and 2025. So this is great news for Formula One. It really, really is. And as Horner was saying at the start of that, the start of this quote, credit, by the way, to racefans.net. That's where I got the quote from. They did have discussions with Porsche last year, because that was something that was rumored for a long time, and it's pretty clear that they were in pretty strong negotiations for a deal for 2026. Of course, Porsche wanted, I think, a little bit too much control of the whole situation or operation, and that's why the talks broke down. Porsche, I'm hoping, can come into Formula One before the end of the decade. That would be great to see as well, to have, say, Mercedes, Ferrari, Honda, Renault, Audi, Ford, and Porsche. That would be just incredible to have that many manufacturers in Formula One. And it really would bring the sport back to a place where it was, say, 15 years ago, where we had so many manufacturers in Formula One. And it's something us F1 fans have been longing for. One extra thing I want to mention with this whole, Red Bull Ford deal, which is actually quite funny in a way. So obviously Ford, they were in Formula One, of course, in years past. They were incredibly successful, obviously, in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And yeah, they've just been a fantastic part of Formula One in the past. They were last in Formula One in 2004. Of course, you had the Jaguar team, and that was Ford's entry, basically, to Formula One. And they were in Formula One from, 2000, the Jaguar team from 2000 until 2004. And then, because basically the whole Jaguar venture situation, whatever you want to call it, was a massive flop, Ford decided to pull out of Formula One. And then, obviously, the next year, the Jaguar team was took over by Red Bull and became Red Bull Racing. And the rest, as they say, is history. So it's funny in a way that these two are partnering up when Ford's withdrawal from Formula One, which allowed Red Bull to buy up Jaguar, it's funny that they're now partnering up. When they start their partnership, it'll be 22 years after Ford were last in Formula One. So it is funny how that has all, worked out with Red Bull and Ford. And yeah, great to see this coming together. And we'll see how, of course, in a few years, how they get on with each other. But yeah, the Red Bull car. Oh no, let's go back to this, not the logo. The Red Bull car has had some running at Silverstone, and we'll, of course, see more of it at pre-season testing. And let me know, guys, in the chat, the whole, Red Bull Ford deal. What do you think about it? How great do you think it'll be for Formula One? What are your expectations with the deal? Do you think that it will be a massively successful partnership? Do you see Ford helping Red Bull winning world championships? Let me know in the chat whether you think that or not. And yeah, I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. I mean, from my own personal opinion, it's really hard to say what's going to happen with Red Bull and Ford, because obviously the power units are going to be different for 2026. The first real or any change to the power units will be made for 2026 for the first time since 2014, when we went from V8s to the V6 hybrids. So it is really difficult to say whether it is going to be a success or not. It is, in my view, kind of just a wait and see. Same goes for Audi as well. We just need to wait and see how it's going to go down. And of course, I'm sure the manufacturers will all have different interpretations of the 2026 regulations and how to get the best out of their respective power units. But yeah, I think it's hard to say really at this point whether it is going to be a massive success or not. So I guess we'll see in a few years' time. But before I come to you guys in the chat, let's move on to the Alfa Romeo team, who revealed their car earlier this week. Here it is. Obviously, new sponsorship, Stake, who are a betting partner. Betting sponsorship isn't exactly the most popular choice of sponsors these days. Obviously, there are a lot of criticism towards betting companies about how not criticism towards betting companies, but there is this movement, especially here in the UK, and I think there is kind of in the US as well, that we need to, kind of in a similar way to, I guess, how they did with cigarettes and cigarette sponsorship, start cutting down on the adverts and just the sponsors being seen, to stop people, I guess, gambling at the rates that they are. So it is, I guess, controversial to a certain extent that this sponsor of Stake is on the Alfa Romeo car. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because I think we could see some interesting things happening with Stake in terms of, if with certain governments around the world, if banning or limiting of betting adverts and sponsors and their reach starts to happen in a similar way to how it did, I guess, with cigarette sponsorships and companies back in the late 90s, then yeah, some interesting things could take place. Another interesting thing with Stake is I believe the rapper Drake has a stake, no pun intended, in the actual company. So I guess we'll see him at a Grand Prix this year, posing with the Alfa Romeo drivers and with the Alfa Romeo car. But the Alfa Romeo car launch event was actually the first car launch with the actual car, which was good to see. In terms of livery, I don't like the livery as much as I did last year. I thought last year's livery was better. I think I don't mind them having a bit of a darker colour with the red. I just think red and black in the way they've done it just doesn't quite fit for me. I wouldn't have minded if they had gone with a darker colour compared to what they had last year, which was like red, white and green, I think it was. As you can see with the rear wing, they had kind of that livery for last year. But yeah, I just don't think the livery, for me, I just don't think it fits as well as other liveries, I guess, if you had red and black. I think there's a bit too much black on the car with the red, I guess you could say. But the Alfa Romeo, they had plenty to say after launching of the car. I think their technical director was interviewed, I think, at the car reveal event, and he talked about how they're a bit disappointed about the new floor changes for 2023, which I will be getting into when we get to pre-season testing, because I want to, properly look at it and do a bit of research surrounding, what are those changes to the floors. But they were saying that it's going to add half a second, and they're a bit disappointed by it. And also, the technical director for Alfa Romeo, I can't remember his name exactly, He was talking about how essentially with what they've done aerodynamically with this new 2023 Alfa Romeo, because they had to stop developing this car or last year's car in the middle of the season and quite a bit earlier than other teams, what they've been doing with this car and building this car is essentially catching up with the type of upgrades that teams were bringing in, say, July, August, September, even October. So they've essentially just been catching up to what those teams have been doing. We'll see whether it will put them in a good position for the start of the season. I hope it does. I do have them predicted as finishing in the top 6 of the championship once again. But yeah, hopefully Alfa Romeo, this season can obviously start the season as well as they did last year. But I'm hoping they can develop this car a bit longer than they did for 2022, because 2022 they had to stop developing the car after about 10 races. I'm hoping they can develop this car for a few more races than that. But let me know, guys, what do you think of the livery? Do you like it? Do you prefer last year's livery? Let me know in the live chat. And we'll now go on to the Haas F1 team, and as you can see on your screen, this is the Haas at Silverstone yesterday. Kevin Magnussen and I believe Nico Hulkenberg as well did a few laps in the car. And from that angle, it looks like the same car. But obviously from the side angle, you can see the different livery. Because obviously on the side now, it is not white like it was last year. It is now black. I think, though, I'm not sure who said it on Twitter. Someone in the F1 community was saying, like a technical guy or something, that the black livery, or the more so black livery on this Haas car, is more just them shedding that weight of, paint on the car compared to what they had last year. So I'm guessing the Haas car for this year will weigh a slight bit less than it did in 2022. But yeah, there wasn't really that much news coming with this Alfa Romeo. Not this Alfa Romeo, this Haas car reveal. They, revealed their livery. Obviously, this is the 2023 car on the track, but there wasn't really any news or talk surrounding the whole car reveal event itself. Obviously, what do you call it? Gunther Steiner, the team principal, the drivers, you can see there, the team personnel and the 2 drivers with the car. Obviously, they were talking up their chances for 2023. But yeah, there was nothing really new or interesting, I guess you could say, said at this event of them revealing the livery. But yeah, we'll see how they get on in 2023. I think they're probably just going to remain where they were. I don't see them dropping to last place or anything. I think that'd be a massive surprise if they were to. But yeah, I think they'll be pretty much where they were in 2022. Now we'll go on to the AlphaTauri team. And yeah, they revealed their car last night in New York City. The pictures I have, though, are the 3D render pictures, basically, of the cars from that were posted, obviously, yesterday. By the way, thank you to Butterfly Blue Shorts for the €5 super chat, who says, good to see you back and doing well at uni. Thank you very much for that, mate, and good to see you. Yeah, AlphaTauri revealing their car. Again, there was no real interesting things that came out of the car reveal event itself. The only thing, I guess, of interest, once the slideshow pictures that I put together of the AlphaTauri, once the slideshow, switches onto another picture, you'll see that the livery is a slight bit different to last year, and they do have AlphaTauri, a new sponsor. Let me just try and see. Oh, there you go. Good timing. You can see there, Orlen, obviously the sponsor that was with Alfa Romeo last year. Robert Kubica, obviously, for the last few years has had them on board with him. And Robert Kubica, let me just check. I'm going to guess that he's with AlphaTauri, but I'm not sure about that 100%. Right, so yeah, Kubica I don't think is with AlphaTauri, but his or the main sponsor last season for Alfa Romeo, and the sponsor he was associated with, is now with AlphaTauri. But yeah, you've got a bit more red, I guess, on the AlphaTauri this year. And one thing I was thinking with this AlphaTauri, let me just try and find a different angle to make the point that I wanted to make, because I was noticing this when I was getting the stream ready. Let me just, there you go, that's a good angle. Does anyone else think this looks like if you take out the red, to me, this AlphaTauri car looks like a poor man's BMW Sauber from 2008 or a poor man's Williams BMW from like 2003. Again, if you take out the red, it does have very similar colours to those two cars. And I was just getting those vibes from, from those cars from those certain eras. Obviously, AlphaTauri would be hoping desperately they were as quick as those two teams were in those two particular seasons. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be. And I think they'll be finishing about where they did last season. And finally, before I come to you guys in the chat, let's go on to the Williams team. And Williams revealed their car on, was it Monday? I think it was. Good livery. Livery looks a bit better. And they have a new sponsor in Gulf, who you guys may know, been around Formula One for a while. They sponsored McLaren, I think, back in 2021, was it? I think. Were they with McLaren last season? I'm not quite sure if they were, but I do think they had an influence on that special livery McLaren had at Monaco in 2021, where I think Norris finished on the podium that weekend for McLaren. But yeah, Gulf are now with the Williams team for 2023. Good to see that Williams will be getting some important money, sponsorship money there. Obviously, losing Nicholas Latifi and his finances, definitely a blow. Let me just find this quote, though, quickly from someone at Williams, because I wanted to quickly read it out. Because this certain person from Williams was discussing or answering a question about, how are you going to cope without the finances of Latifi? And yeah, it was the Williams commercial director, James Bauer. Obviously, they've got a new team principal, James Vowles, who was the strategist at Mercedes. And James Bauer, the commercial director, said, we are clearly in a multi-year commercial plan of how we rebuild the team. I think there's a perception about lost revenue from recent changes, losing Nicholas Latifi. And he says, which I find interesting, he says that's not the case, and then goes on to say, there's a perception and reality is slightly different. Well, if reality is only slightly different, then it must mean that it is most probably true that, that there has been not a sizable, but a decent chunk of, revenue lost from, letting Latifi go. I mean, from a driver's standpoint, letting Latifi go is the right decision, but yeah, I just thought that was a bit interesting that, he was talking about how the perception about lost revenue, that it wasn't true, and then went on to say that reality is actually only slightly different rather than being a bit different. And then he went on to say, we are launching a number of new partners as we go into the season as well, so I think we're in a more robust position, and the team's been in for a number of years, and we're ambitious and aggressive, and in terms of how we are in the market as well, and how we're investing in building the Williams brand. Just a load of PR jargon, that is. And of course, having Gulf as a part of the commercial partner portfolio for that journey is really exciting. Yeah, you can't really build a brand if you're finishing last, can you? Which Williams have done every season since 2018, except for 2021, and that was only because of George Russell, really. And also Latifi had an amazingly, I'm not sure I'd say lucky. I mean, it was lucky to a certain extent, but And just an amazing result in Hungary, I remember, in 2021 that really helped Williams finish in 8th place. But yeah, Williams, they revealed their car again. I don't think this was actually the real car. It is the real livery. But yeah, Williams, I think we know for this season what's going to happen with them. Probably just as what's going to happen for them this season is going to be just what happened essentially last year. They're going to occasionally say be in, I don't know, 11th, 12th, 13th place, get some decent results with, say, Alex Albon. Maybe a couple times during 2023 they'll score a point or two, but yeah, they're going to finish in last place. So I'm pretty confident about that. We'll see how Logan Sargent does, but I'm not expecting Sargent to have a great debut season because he is having to drive the worst car on the grid. The only thing he can do is at least, stick close to and seriously challenge Alex Albon. But yeah, Williams heading for a pretty poor season, I think. And we'll go now back to these pictures where it's just a collection of all the cars and the cars that have been revealed so far. But yeah, let me know, guys, in the chat. What do you think about all of that? And yeah, just let me know in the live chat quickly. And yeah, this is not going to be really that long of a stream. I'm probably going to be only live for another few minutes or so because I just wanted to cover the car reveal so far, really. So yeah, let's just read out some comments from you guys in chat. Hello to all of you, of course. Prank says, I prefer Red Bull stay with Honda. Yeah, it's been a good partnership, of course. If you're a Red Bull fan, I can understand why Red Bull fans would think, that staying with Honda would be better. But yeah, let's see what's going to happen in 2026. Who knows? Ford might come into Formula One and absolutely obliterate everyone with some absolutely, magical power unit design. Talking of Honda, though, there was a shock reveal from Scott Mitchell-Malm, I think his name is now, who works for the race. He's one of their head writers. Yeah, he wrote a story for the race that McLaren and Honda have made initial contact about teaming up for 2026. How amazing would it be if they were to team up again? I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen again for at least probably another, 15, 20 years, given how toxic it was, that whole partnership, and just how bad it was. So, yeah, that's something to put out there, I guess. Tandem says, I fully expect Red Bull to have issues in 2026. Having said that, I think 2027-28 is likely to be a better year for the partnership. Yeah, I think, in 2026, I think there are going to be, there's going to be probably, you've got, Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, Honda. I'm pretty sure Honda are going to enter Formula One properly again with some team. Maybe it'll be McLaren, maybe it'll just be, I don't know, AlphaTauri on their own. I'm not sure. Unless I think AlphaTauri actually, no, they'll be taking on Ford engines, won't they? Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Honda will partner up with Williams or something. Who knows? Yeah, you'll have in 2026 Mercedes, Ferrari, Honda, Renault, Audi, Ford. That's 6 engine manufacturers. If you go look at 2014, you had 3, and 2 of the 3 struggled in that first year of the new power unit regs. So there's a decent chance, a very decent chance, a very good chance, I guess you could say, that in 2026, half of those engine manufacturers are probably going to struggle in the first year or first 2 or 3 years of the new engine regulations. So it'll be interesting to see who struggles. I guess you could say Mercedes at the moment are struggling with outright power. Reliability they have in abundance, but yeah, Mercedes are no longer the kings of power. So maybe they'll return to being the best power unit on the grid again in 2026. Who knows? Who knows, to be honest. But yeah, there's definitely going to be in 2026 a couple engine manufacturers that really struggle. I have no doubt about that. It always does tend to happen. Because like I said, there will be, and there was in 2014 when the new V6 hybrids came in, there was, different interpretations of how to build the power unit, how to place certain things in a certain way and get it working in a certain way. So, the same thing will happen for 2026. Prank says, I'm biased. I've always been a Honda fan. You are right, though. They have been known to pull out quickly. Butterfly Blue Short says, I think Honda might be high risk for Red Bull long term. And yeah, I think he was responding actually to him. Yeah, it is true. Honda, they aren't, and that they've never really, Honda, been super committed to Formula One. I mean, Renault to a certain extent haven't been super committed at certain times to Formula One, but they have been more so committed. But yeah, with Honda, if you look at their history, from when they entered Formula One back in the 80s, they were... And were they in Formula One back in the 60s? I think they were. I think they had a car, but they were only in F1 for like a year or so. I'll have to gen up on my history when it comes to that. But yeah, they came round obviously in the 80s with Williams, and then about, 7 years later they were gone. And then they were gone for 8 years or so. Then they came back for another 7-8 year period. Then they went again for another 7-year period. And then they came back. And then they're gone again in name, I guess, only. But yeah, Honda, they tend to... They'll come into Formula One, stay for about 7 or 8 years, and then they go for about 7 or 8 years. So, yeah. I really could understand Red Bull not wanting to, to do another partnership again with Honda officially, because yeah, Honda, they're not the most committed to Formula One. Prank says, I think the Ford deal falls through in the next year. Ford is not selling cars right now in the US. They are down 60%. That's interesting if that is true. Butterfly Blue Short says, I don't think Ford is adding any tech but electrical. I am foaming at the mouth to see Red Bull with their own engine and chassis combo. Imagine that for a moment if they can pull it off. I'm pretty sure they can pull it off. They just need years of transition to get into that, to transition into that period, I guess you could say. Thanks to Butterfly for joining. And good morning to Juan Alba as well. Eric asks, will Mercedes be more like they were before they had Bottas? Will they have two drivers fighting for a championship? Could that not be an advantage for Red Bull? I mean, given the quality of the two drivers, you'd have to say yes, but it depends. Because, I mean, yeah, last year I still thought Lewis Hamilton was the better performing driver last year than Russell. And yeah, Russell obviously did beat Hamilton in the championship, but as we know, fighting for a world championship is a completely different kettle of fish than just driving for a front-running team without that pressure of, fighting for a championship. So if we get to testing and it's pretty clear Mercedes are going to be right on the pace of Red Bull from the get-go, then who knows how that'll play out. Maybe Russell will shrink in that pressure. Maybe he'll grow even more. Maybe Lewis Hamilton will get right back to his absolute peak performance. We don't know how it's going to go. So, yeah, we'll see, I guess. Juan Albert says, F1 just uploaded Nick De Vries belongs in F1. Who is he, Chaz? Well, if you follow F1 properly, you should surely know who he is. He'll be driving for AlphaTauri this year. Oh, Nick De Vries. Let me just see. Did they actually post that? I can't see at the moment. But, yeah. I'm hoping that De Vries, this year can have a good year, because I think De Vries is definitely good enough to be in Formula One for a few years if he can just execute and deliver his talent and potential at the right time. Look at Yuki Tsunoda, for example. This is his third F1 season. I think De Vries is definitely better than Tsunoda. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then, you look at Alex Albon. I mean, Albon is a very good driver. Probably, you'd have to say better than De Vries, but I think if De Vries, if he can do what he did in that Williams at Monza last year, if he could do that a few times this year for AlphaTauri, I don't see why he can't secure a longish term contract with the AlphaTauri team going forward. Again, Tsunoda entering his third season. I'm pretty sure De Vries has a decent chance of keeping in Formula One for a decent amount of time. But guys, I think because that's all I wanted to get through in this stream, I think I will end it there. Before I do, though, let me get into what is coming up on the channel in the next couple weeks or so. So these are the next two pieces of content. The next time I'll be live will be on Friday, this Friday coming, the 17th of February at 8 p.m. Obviously, all the times UK time. And I'll be looking at the rest of the car reveals on Friday. The other car reveals will be Aston Martin, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, Alpine. Aston Martin and McLaren are revealing their cars on Monday, which of course is tomorrow. And then you've got Ferrari on Tuesday, which is Valentine's Day. Of course, Ferrari would reveal their car on Valentine's Day. Mercedes are revealing their car on Wednesday at Silverstone, and they're also going to do a test drive, I guess you could call it, around Silverstone, just a few laps, just to get the car running. And then Alpine will be the last team to reveal their car in London on Thursday. So yeah, Friday night, 8 p.m, I'll be live to look at the rest of the car reveals and any news surrounding those events. And then after that, the next piece of content will be on Thursday, the 23rd of February, in 11 days from now, where I will be doing the first watch-along of 2023 of day one of pre-season testing, where I will only, on day one, be covering the afternoon session, and I will be going live at 11:45 a.m. because I believe the afternoon session starts at 12 p.m. and then ends at like 4 or 4:30 p.m. The timing, I have to say, for testing, the timings of the sessions, I'm not 100% sure about them yet in terms of when does the morning session start, when does the afternoon session start, and when does it end. So I might have to change the start time of that stream. I will let you guys know, though, the day before, the first day of testing, what my official plan is, if there is any changes. But yeah, that's the next two pieces of content coming up on the channel. And thank you guys for coming along to this stream. If you have enjoyed the content here and you are new, don't forget to subscribe, bottom right of the screen. And don't forget as well, everyone watching, to smash the like button, share this video and channel everywhere you can. And to keep up the content on my channel, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5 and join our Discord server, link below in the description if you want to join our community. But guys, until the next piece of content on Friday at 8 p.m. UK time, looking at the rest of the car reveals. Until then, guys, it has been me, ChazHD. Goodbye.